What's up, guys and gals? It's the Tyrant here, and one of the more frequent questions that I get is if I had had control over Halo 5 Guardians development, how would I have done things differently? Now, we all like and dislike different things about Halo 5 Guardians. Some people don't like the game mechanics, some people don't like the maps, some people just don't like the overall game design. And to each their own in that department. But what I'm going to talk about today is the most glaring mistake that was made with Halo 5 Guardians, and that is the story. It was a jumbled mess, and I've talked about it in length in my multiple reviews, and so today I'm going to break it down and discuss what would have made a far better story than the one that we actually got. But before I get into that, we need to understand what the main issues of the story were. To sum it up, there were way too many characters in way too many scenarios. Now, what do I mean by this? So, Halo 5 Guardians puts us in the shoes of two different teams of Spartans. The first is Blue Team, which comprises of Master Chief and his fellow Spartans. But we're never given an in-game explanation as to how Blue Team suddenly showed up. How did they reunite? And on the other side of the fence, we have Fireteam Osiris, led by Spartan Locke and company. The only Spartan that we're really familiar with from any game or any lore at that point, aside from Nightfall, is Spartan Buck. The last time we saw Buck, he was an ODST. How did he go from being an ODST to a Spartan? But it's not just that change that got me. He has a different type of sense of humor. In Halo 3 ODST, Buck was funny, but not because he made jokes, it was due to his arrogance.
You know the music. Time to dance.
Hello, beautiful.
Pods. Now.
He tries too hard to be funny in Halo 5 Guardians, and it just comes off as awkward.
Already in station now. If you could clear out the land between where you are and town.
Of course, Governor.
Wow, pretty quick turnaround from being off my planet to, hey, can you help?
So I can understand him not being the leader of the team, but not knowing anything about any of the other Spartans doesn't really help much either. So what could have really been done about this? Especially with glaring mistakes like killing off Supreme Leader Jul 'Mdama in the first mission and jumping around so much. Not to mention we spend most of the game with Fireteam Osiris and Spartan Locke rather than with the star of the series, the Master Chief. Quite simply put, I strongly believe that Halo 5 would have been a much better game if it had actually been two games, Halo 5 and Halo 5 Guardians, much like Halo 3 and Halo 3 ODST. The first game would be centered around the Master Chief. It would be centered around him reuniting with Blue Team and explaining how that happened and where Blue Team has been all this time. The main antagonist of the game would be Jul 'Mdama. The plot would revolve around Master Chief and Blue Team rescuing Dr. Halsey from the clutches of Jul 'Mdama while also trying to get the Janus key, which was discovered in Halo Spartan Ops. The enemies in this game would be Covenant only, and so you would only be fighting Covenant, there would be no Prometheans. The battles would take place, and the game would eventually end up on the planet Genesis. This is where the key actually has an effect. At the end of the game, Master Chief would be able to kill Jul 'Mdama and save Dr. Halsey. It's here, though, that the domain is able to access the key. And at the end of the game, you would hear the disembodied voice of Cortana, signaling that she's still alive. The game would stop there. This is where Halo 5 Guardians would pick up. The story would be centered around Fireteam Osiris and getting to know each of them as characters. We would gain a better understanding of why Spartan Locke is the leader of the team, why Spartan Buck became a Spartan from an ODST, and the backgrounds of Vale and Tanaka. The plot would revolve around the disappearance of the Master Chief and Fireteam Osiris' quest to bring them home. However, their efforts are interrupted when Promethean attacks break out across multiple worlds. Basically, every enemy in this game would be Promethean-based, and the plot would revolve around the rise of the Guardians and what's causing it. The game would start out on the planet Meridian, and this is where the first attack would occur. It's here that Fireteam Osiris discovers the first Guardian. They even get a signal from it from the Master Chief, even though he's on a different world. But before they can reach the Guardian, it rises from the ground and teleports into space. Then they get a signal from the Arbiter. In this scenario, they're not fighting a war against the Covenant, but rather they have an attack that was led by the Prometheans. They discover that there is a Guardian here too, and then the game takes place on St. Helios. The Arbiter fights side by side with Fireteam Osiris, and they're able to get to the Guardian before it teleports back into space. At this point, this is where Fireteam Osiris ends up on Genesis, and eventually is able to track down the Master Chief. At this point, Cortana is able to be fully resurrected, but is guarded by the Warden Eternal. It's at this point that the Master Chief realizes he has been betrayed by Cortana, and Cortana takes this opportunity to leave on a Guardian of her own. Fireteam Osiris and Blue Team are both left to deal with the Warden Eternal and promptly defeat him. At this point, the rest of the game carries out just like Halo 5 Guardians, where the Guardians begin appearing throughout the galaxy and neutralizing worlds. Now, some may not consider this the perfect scenario, but it does solve two of the biggest issues right off the bat. First of all, we don't have a Halo game where we play some as the Master Chief, but mostly as another team. Instead, we get two separate games that focus on each team individually. This allows us the chance to get to know all the characters and give us a reason to care about both them and their journeys. This also spreads out the action and the scenarios far enough that it gives us a reason to care about what's happening and a better way of understanding it, rather than trying to get through everything via exposition. Basically, rather than telling us the story, this would be a way for 343 to show it to us. So that's how I personally would have made Halo 5 Guardians a better story. Split it between two games, have each game focus on each team, and have those scenarios play out. No rush, no fuss, and plenty of exploration. So do you agree with the way that I've redesigned Halo 5 Guardians? How would you do it differently? You can let me know in the comments below, or hit me up on Twitter at MythicTyrant. A link to my Twitter feed can be found in the description below. And if you like this video, please hit that subscribe button for more great content every single day right here on MythicTyrant.com. Thanks so much for watching, guys and gals. I'll catch you all right back here next time. And as always, I'm the Tyrant, signing off.